Hi guys, this is Inflectra, Alexis speaking. I'm going to briefly demonstrate new features in Rapise 5.7 that you may find attractive. Here is the list of things that I'm going to show you, and let's start from the first one, subtest creation. So right now, when we're creating a new test in Rapise, I'm starting new test. I'll call it like now, let it be desktop. So when I'm creating just a test, I have a question asking about language. And if I say RVL, then RVL file is added to the test. So new feature that we have now is if we are adding a subtest, then we have the same question for the subtest that was not available before, and now it's here. So we may choose to use RVL, and RVL is also created for subtest. If it's a web test, then you will have the same question as when you create a main web test. Which browser do you want to use? Okay, next feature here is custom library support. It's easy to demonstrate. If we are in Files view, we now may create something that's called here user library. Call it somehow, it's something common. So user library may be created in the parentmost test of the framework. For example, if you have Rapise friendly architecture, then you have one parent test and many subtests. And that's a recommended approach for making test frameworks. So you may create a library which is, first, it's automatically loads to all subtests, even if you execute them from main test or you execute them alone. This library will be loaded because there is an option for that, which you may of course control. And it's not participating in recording, although you may change it, and you may also add some recording definitions for your test framework. As for auto loading, you may do some useful things, like first of all you may do something like write a message. You may also implement a test prepare function that will be here for each call of new test, and you may do things like loading objects, or you may implement common operations like launching calculator. You may also call an RVL script here. We will touch this topic later. For now, it's just a brief demonstration. That's very useful, and again, this library will be executed even if you run a subtest. So let me play parent test by using global play, and you may see the message is displayed. If you play subtest, you may see the same message is displayed, and that's a strong feature. Okay, now next thing here is new spreadsheet editor. Okay, let me show you what I mean. So we can create a spreadsheet right here in Rapise. Let's call it data. And you see we have a new Excel-like editor with formatting, with all common features. So you may make formatting, coloring, and so on and so forth. So we believe it will help you to use Excel-like features and data-driven testing with ease. One more feature available here is spreadsheet data object. So if you create a spreadsheet in a way like I just did, you may see that in the objects tree you have an object called after this spreadsheet. And this object may be used in your scripts. Let me add a couple of columns. Column. So what I can do here, add row. So I can use this data object just like any other object. So there is a number of methods. So I am adding a row, move to last row, set cell, and finally, the new thing is that you see we have set cell and we can save the modification. And I may just play this and open an Excel. Modified now again. It's here, so new value is here. There was some rows, and this is specific to Excel. It may have rows. You may add new, but we will touch this topic later. So the Excel sheet's a bit tricky, but if you know how, it's easy to deal with. Okay, next feature here is parameter handling. Okay, so for example, if I'm doing spreadsheet and do a touch, a touch means it expects some file like Excel or JavaScript. So this drop down with parameter value automatically shows all files belonging to this test and all of its subtests. So it's now easier to choose from the drop down. Also, the same feature is available for global do launch, for do invoke test. For example, if it's do invoke test, you have drop down with subtests, with RVL do play script. It should show drop down of RVL scripts. So I hope you will find this feature useful. Next feature here is automatic parameter appending. So if by default operations like do launch have default params, which is just command line in this case, and in addition to that there are a number of optional params. So I may just show them all, but sometimes I don't need all of them. So there is another way now for adding params. It is, I may just use drop down here and I'm adding next param, I'm adding next param, I'm adding next param one by one. So I can just add a couple of them or all of them. So I hope you will find this convenient. Well, next feature here is locator options. This is something really strong and really new in Rapise 5.7. It's a way to make your object recognition more dynamic. So let me record something with calculator. Run calculator. Yep. Now let's press actually any button, maybe like 0, and let's, for example, finally close it. So this is my script. What I'm going to modify, I want actually to click my objects dynamically. So sometimes I want to click 0, sometimes I want to click 1, and so on. So let's find this object. Let's see how it defines that object clicks on 0. Actually, this is an ID, and it's set in the last part of its location. So I want to modify this location before accessing this object. First of all, let me rename it from 0 to the button. It's one of the buttons, or some button. Okay. Now let me do something. So here I'm click on 0, and I know that. Now let me try to use RVL.SetLocatorOpt for object. Object is some button, and locator option I want to set is location. Again, one by one per param adding is implemented here, and here is location. So I want, for example, to click on button 1, and if I just do that, it will fail because this object has a name, and ignore object name set to false. So, for example, I want to set object name to 1. In this case, it changes the definition of the object. Let me remove this closing for now to see the result. Okay, so now the some button is repositioned to point to button 1. So let me try it. Some button, do click. So my expectation is that this line will click on button 0, and this line after this modification will click on button 1. Let's try. Got it. So we see 1 because clicking on 0 doesn't change input, and then clicking on 1 just clicks on 1. So if we now do something like so, this click doesn't change the result, and I will notice it if I preset something here like 9. Now let's play this script. 0, 1. So this is what I was expecting to be clicked. Okay. Now one more change here. I'm not using launch close. It's for final script. Let me do a couple more modifications. First of all, let me use RVL.SetLocator options for the some button object, and do action do click. So if I'm just calling setLocator options and specifying no options, that would reset the object to its initial state. Let me play it. 0, 1, 0. So final click was on 0, and that is the result of setLocator options. Now I want to modify something. I want to click just any button, and as I see, button number is used twice here. So what I want to use is variable, and format this string according to that variable. And this is here, we will demonstrate the last feature is format string. So let's say we have variable button name, let's call it 5 for now, the default value. Now let's use RVL FormatString, and here I need to use string format pattern. So name. Okay, now I need to specify. So if I use param adding, I have once name is specified in curly braces, it becomes a parameter, and I may specify either value for it or just reference to variable. Variable is button name. Here it is. So I now may use, so after the result of this action, we'll put new locator to the last result. So I may use the last result here. Variable, the last result. And object name now is a parameter. I may again refer to variable button name. And that's it. Let's play. 050. So now changing this to 6. Would click on 060. Okay, so I hope this overview will be helpful for you and will give you ideas of new code features of Rapise 5.7. Thank you. Bye.